Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to the August 15th, 2023 monthly coalition call for Move to Amend. I'm glad to see everyone here. Yeah, we're going to open it up with a little icebreaker. I put it in the agenda. I don't know if y'all saw it yet, but I thought it would be interesting to hear what we all have our story of like what radicalized us or moved us into political action. It could be something positive, and it could also be something that, made you really angry and motivated you into this work. So if you want to put in the chat, and you could take some time to think about it. I know it's a big one. But I'd love to hear everyone's stories. And yeah, the agenda review, we'll go through that. We are going to Jenny will do the announcements, campaign updates on the amendment with Alfonso. Margaret and Greg are going to tell us about some of the work that's come out of the Law and Research Committee with these statutory reforms that would be put in place, should our amendment go forward. And then summer fall actions, we're going to hear from Greg about that. Katie is going to tell us what's going on with finances and fundraising and how you can help. And then upcoming events with Jenny, and then we'll close out. And if you want to comment on anything that we're talking about, just raise your hand. You can also put stack in the chat if you don't know how to raise your hand. Yes, Bush administration, that was a big one for me too. Member of campus. Okay, I'm not going to read these out loud, but I'm excited with you to go through these answers. So yeah, what we'll start with is affiliate updates, and that's y'all. So OpenStack for anybody who wants to let us know what your affiliate has been doing or what you've been doing as an advocate in your community. OpenStack, raise your hand or stack in the chat. I know there's a few more people who are filtering in since I said that, so I'll just repeat that we are at the affiliate updates and announcements. So if you want to share with us what y'all are up to in your communities, just raise your hand or put stack in the chat, and we would love to get those updates. All right, well, that's okay. Slow month, it's summer, happens sometimes. And if anything does come up that you think of that you didn't think of early in the call, feel free to put it in the chat or let us know. Lawrence.
Yeah, I can talk about our East Bay group. We're trying to get more co-sponsors, and in California, we did pick up a few more, so we're excited about that. East Bay is working real closely with the state group, so we're sort of all working as part of one giant state team. And then another special thing happening for East Bay is that I won an award, and I have to give a speech as a volunteer award for the Central Labor Council, and I have to give a speech in front of 1,000 people on Friday at the Oakland Convention Center, and the governor might be there, but definitely the state attorney general and a lot of the state, local, and federal politicians will all be there. So it's going to be really fun to talk up Move to Amend at that speech. And those are the two biggest highlights that I can share.
Oh, that's awesome, Lawrence. You deserve all the awards, and also we love that you have this big platform to talk about your work with Move to Amend too. Thank you for sharing, and congrats. Anyone else? All right, sweet.
Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, the Move to Amend group is going to be doing some petitioning on Labor Day, and hopefully run into our congressperson. he just met an aide with the other day and just kind of got not totally blown off, but partially. So follow up for with hopefully cornered meeting, as well as, you know, having petitions and brochures and all that. And
Nice. All right, and there's some juicy stuff in this chat too, if you haven't gone through it. I'm loving all these stories. All right, well, we can move on to announcements with Jenny. Go ahead.
Happy to. Sorry, the lighting's a little weird in here. I had to use the desk lamp. I'm in Tallahassee, staying with one of our Florida State coalition members. So I don't have like a normal setup here. But so happy to be here with you all, and super excited about that, Lawrence. I'm really looking forward to hearing how it goes. Agree with Shelley that that's very deserving. And we'd like to hear what else is going on with y'all, maybe later in the call. I wanted to go ahead and update folks. Our legislative director, Dolores, has stepped away. She has resigned. She's focusing on her health. She has some health issues that was beginning to inhibit her. And so she felt for her that it was best that that she no longer continue to work. So she will be missed. They will be missed, and they are hopefully able to find some healing on their journey. Wanted to raise up the movement education program, Radical Education Guide. You know, we're working on some more sessions. We'd like to bring that back in the fore, you know, because this is how it's a great opportunity. You know, it is open to the public now, but it's still a great opportunity for us as Move to Amend to learn more about political education, more about different threads of our education. And we are working, Shelley and Dolores were working on it, but on more of, you know, we know our LGBTQI family are under attack right now, vicious attacks. And so we're going to have a session about that. But, you know, again, if you have already went through some of the process and have anything that you would like to share in your experience with us, we would love to hear from that. There is a link to share that information with us. It will help us in the future in growing and developing that program even further. Of course, we have the Eco Network call and space that we would love for y'all to plug into. This is, of course, a space where we connect with that thread of the movement, and folks from all over the country come and share what they're doing on the ground. Just so much amazing work is happening. It's a great way to share ideas, share strategies, and to make those connections, because, you know, that's really what's going to get us, really what's going to help us move forward, right? Is those connections and working together. So we encourage y'all, if you have an environmental interest, to please plug into that and share what you're doing. And learn from everybody else there. I know I do not walk away without learning something, and just amazed by some of the stuff that's going on, to be honest. Also, just a reminder, we have that second line Zoom call. If y'all have any meetings that you're doing, any calls that you need to make and need that space, I know a lot of people have like a personal one that cuts off after, I think, like 30 minutes. So if you're having a call, if you're scheduling meetings with your reps, anything that you need that line for it is open and available for you. So I just want to raise that up and remind you about that. And also submit your monthly reports so that we know what you're doing, so that we can raise up some of the work that you're doing. And because we love hearing from you. So, and you can find that, of course, at affiliate support or movetoamend.org/report-form. And that link is in the agenda.
All right, thanks, Jenny. Before we move into the next section, I was gonna check and see. It looks like Dee Dee's pretty pumped about what's going on locally in Miami County, Ohio. Deb, are you with us? Would you want to share what we're all excited about?
Yeah, Dee Dee could share too, because Dee Dee was part of the team. We had 5 of us from Move to Amend Miami County travel to Columbus on Wednesday to see staff members of Representative Mike Carey, who is our new representative, thanks to gerrymandering here in Ohio. And I'm speaking of our affiliate, Miami, Move to Amend Miami County. So we spent about 40 minutes with them. I don't think we moved them very far, but we've educated them about the movement and have let them have let Carey's staff know that we are going to continue to be in touch. And members of our team did research, finding out what Representative Carey was into, things that we might be able to make connections with, and everybody did a really great job. So yeah, it was real pumped. And then we went by just to oh golly, Mike Skindale's office, who has introduced a resolution in the State House, Ohio State House, for an amendment supporting the abolishment of corporate constitutional rights limiting his speech. And we also stopped and actually saw Senator Kent Smith, who has introduced a similar resolution in the Ohio Senate, and we're expecting him to do the same. So it was a really good day. Really good afternoon. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Dee Dee, you want to add to that? Dee Dee, I see your hands up. Did you want to add anything to that?
You're on mute.
Yeah, so you're on mute. Okay, well, we can circle back. And I see that Carey is also a Republican.
I'm sorry, I got unmuted, Shelley. I just wanted to add that for me, it was a good visit to Columbus to see those folks or their staff. But a real plus for me was actually getting to see the State House of Columbus. This was something, if I had not been part of Move to Amend, I probably would have gone to my grave without having seen the Columbus State House, which is just mind-blowing. The landscaping between the buildings that we went to, the governmental buildings, was gorgeous. It was just a really good experience in every way. And I have to thank Move to Amend for giving me those experiences. That's
so
all.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I totally feel that. Same with me in DC, honestly. You know, I never had that opportunity in my life until I joined up with Move to Amend. And yeah, it's really an important experience to be in those halls of power for sure. All right, thank y'all for sharing. Great work. Let us know how we can support you. I'm sure you have all the access to like talking points for Republicans, but if you need any support on that, we've got resources. All right, cool. Well, then we can go on. That's a good segue. I was just told it's not segue, it's seg. It's a good seg into campaign updates. So you want to take that, Alfonso?
Yes. Hi everyone. So I'm very excited to share with you some juicy details and updates that we have. So as you all know, we are focused on the We the People Amendment, and I'm thrilled to announce that we made some remarkable progress. For example, we reached 66 co-sponsors just this month, and in July alone we gained a total of 9 new co-sponsors, with the most recent addition being Representative Ana Eshu from California's 16th district. Her support officially secures 66 co-sponsors. Our goal is 100, so we still have a little co-sponsors to add up, but it is doable. The momentum is there, and all this the representatives that we have been gaining is a testament to the hard work that you are doing. Your calls really make a big difference in creating that political will. And well, with the August recess currently underway, that is a great opportunity to continue increasing those numbers. As you all know, representatives go back to the district, so this presents the perfect opportunity to reach out to them and possibly getting an in-person meeting. So we have a lot of resources for you all to use on our 118 campaign website, which I can share a link to right now on the chat. So that is your go-to place to get meeting samples, videos, but which, by the way, in case you missed the August recess lobby training, it's also there's a link there. It has great content, and you will definitely find something useful, whether you're a new advocate or a seasoned Mutual advocate. You will find something there that is definitely useful for you to improve your already great outreach to your representatives. So yeah, I would just like to invite you all again to look at those resources and sign up for lobbying in case that you haven't done. We can link you up with people in your districts to get those congressional meetings going during this August recess. And I would like to open it up for questions in case anyone has questions.
See Margaret with her hand up.
Okay, yeah. So it's not a question, but a comment. So if your representative is a co-sponsor, one thing you can do during the recess is go to their town hall if they have one, and then thank them, and also send a letter to the editor referencing the town hall and thanking, mentioning that they're a co-sponsor of the We the People amendment. Because it's good to keep our name in front of them, even over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thanks, Margaret. I just want to say I was told, so I see Deanville on stack. I was told, Irene, did you raise your hand like physically? You were probably following my instructions very literally but I missed it. Jenny saw it. So did you want to comment on this, or would you just want to talk about what's going on in your area? Because if not, we can circle back after the amendment update.
You're on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about me? Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask.
No, you're good, Deanville. I was just because I was just told by Jenny that Irene raised her hand, but I don't know what it's on. So I'm just checking because it was earlier. So I just want to, but you're on.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
That's okay. You're on mute, Irene.
Irene, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
I'm trying. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see. By the way, Louise Finney is here, also from Brooklyn. And, we got a call from Alfonso and Jenny, which I don't get overwhelmed easily, but I think I'm overwhelmed because they're saying they would like us to create an event on the weekend, what is it, the 17th, in September, when there's going to be the big march against, fossil fuels. So they're Move to Amend is looking to create a special event on the Saturday before the big march in Manhattan. So that's like, ha ha ha, what are you kidding? There's 8 million people here and I don't know where to start. But anyway, we'll get, I'll do the best I can and try to get other organizations to come and do this, and where we can get a permit to do this, And there's problems with that. Let's say there's a great little park in our neighborhood, but oh my goodness, on a Saturday afternoon, it's just filled with kids. So like I have to find a place and put together a bunch of organizations who might be interested in such a thing.
Yeah, you got about a month. I think we will be talking.
Right, a month.
I know. Well, you're in good hands. I know we don't know all the lay of the land in Brooklyn, but you know, we've got some good.
They say that only the dead know Brooklyn, but I don't think that's true. But
Yeah.
we'll try to come up with something and get something going in some good neighborhood and try to get some enthusiasm going for the amendment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we're all really excited too. We're excited to have a presence there as well. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more later, so y'all will get more details on what.
Oh, you are talking about that tonight?
Yeah, we're going to
good,
the upcoming events section. So yeah,
okay,
but
very good
for sharing your feelings, because that's so real.
It's like
a lot of pressure to organize an event, especially one with, you know, other groups and but
because Move to Amend here is very small. It's like this, we haven't really grown it, and but this is something we have to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you'll be hearing from
How
me
you
one
do.
way or another.
Yeah. We're here for you. All right, thanks, Irene. Okay, we'll get back to the amendment updates. Deanville, you want to go ahead?
I was just gonna ask Alfonso, when does the August recess end? Does it actually end at the end of August, or?
I believe it's the first Monday of or let me confirm with you. I'll share the link to the Congress website in a minute in the chat.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I see you, Greg.
Greg?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the recess goes through the first full week in September. Maybe the second as well, but at least the first full. So that would include the week following Labor Day, or the week of Labor Day.
All right, cool. Thanks, Greg. Okay, sweet. All right, so now for some new exciting stuff, I'm going to pass it over to Margaret and Greg to talk about what they've been working on in the Law and Research Committee, promoting pro-democratic, anti-corporate power statutory reforms. So take it away.
Okay. So the draft is linked in the agenda. It's a 10-page document. It's got a lot of clickable links to other references and so forth. And it's been through several editions, and it will continue to be edited. So the idea is, since corporations are chartered by states, we could work on at the state level, attacking the corporate charter or addressing the corporate charter directly. So there were 7 suggested actions in the document. Then these would be state laws that we would lobby to have them introduced and passed. So a corporate 3 strikes law, if you get in trouble more than 3 times, you get your charter revoked. Charter revocation for other reasons, prohibit corporations from owning stock in other corporations, prohibit corporations from creating shell companies to avoid legal and financial liability, make the stockholders liable for corporate debts, require a shareholder vote before political donations are made with corporate funds, prohibit foreign influence corporations from spending in elections. And that last one is actually a law now in Minnesota, and it's been proposed in California. And then a suggestion was made yesterday at the national team meeting to try to get a law to prohibit, regulate, or limit corporations owning of rental housing. And that could be a real live one because a lot of people are suffering from the high cost of housing. So one thing that happened after the crash of 2008, a lot of corporations bought up all the houses and apartments they could. And so now they're landlords and they're milking it. So what we wanted to do today with all of you is sort of get a temperature check. The idea with this would be for affiliates that have already kind of done everything. They've passed resolutions, they've gotten their representative, a co-sponsor, they've been working on contacting their senator. They've gone to the city council and so on and so forth. So this is something new that you could do. You could really sink your teeth into. There's always an advantage in working with lower level politicians, state and local. They're more accessible. Some of them will end up in Congress. So we just wanted to find out, people are interested. Our idea was, and also if people have other suggestions for laws that could be made about corporations on the state level. So we just want to kind of find out if people would be interested. Our thought was to offer a webinar sometime in the fall, which would cover the content of some of these ideas and also discussion about lobbying on the state level. Another reason we like this proposal is because it's a way to develop locally solidarity and form alliances with other organizations in the democracy movement. So questions, or Greg, if you could want to add anything to what I said. You're on mute, Greg.
No, nothing more other than to say that if you're interested, either yourself or you think someone from your affiliate would be interested in being part of a webinar. Again, we're just trying to take temperature. We're not going to do this immediately, probably though in a couple months, maybe as early as October. So if you could just put your name in the chat so we have at least some kind of idea of people here who would be interested. Plus, we will be sending out yet a further final version of this to the full affiliate and advocate list, and maybe even to everybody on our list, because this just may be their thing. People may feel more intimidated about the amendments, too far off, but here's a couple of stepping stones that people can work where they are at the state level with ally groups that are working themselves on trying to get past whatever it is, but run into one of these impediments that one of these reforms would hopefully address. So if interested, feel free to just, we invite you to let us know by in the chat. So questions, comments, suggestions of other sort of statutory reforms that we could, should consider to include.
All right, awesome. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, but I am definitely seeing a lot of interest in the chat for getting involved in this webinar. Lawrence.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Move to Amend for helping us do exactly what we're talking about. A group of us went to Sacramento to lobby for Assembly Bill 83, which is the one that was just mentioned that passed in Minnesota. That would make it illegal for foreign-owned or partially foreign-owned corporations to be putting their money into our politics. And super important bill. And that bill is still alive. And we didn't have quite the number of votes in California, which you'd think California could do it if Minnesota could, but it just shows how it's just not so. But anyway, now we've got some of the assembly members from California that weren't totally on board before. They're coming on board now. So as we move along, we hope to eventually, with Move to Amend's help, get that passed in California and see that as a stepping stone to the We the People Amendment as we gradually tame down the power of corporations and restore the power of the people. Pass.
Margaret Stack?
Go ahead, Margaret.
So just one other thing I wanted to add about this idea. A lot of it is based on Grossman's pamphlet, which I was just reading this afternoon. Now I can't recall the title. What is it, Greg?
Taking care of business.
Taking care of business. It's short. It's only 30 pages. You can buy it from Move to Amend. And it's really a pamphlet, not a book. And so he goes through, and he has a co-author too. So they go through the early history of corporations, and a lot of these proposed laws restricting corporations were actually part of the laws about corporations in the first 100 years of the United States. So it takes us back, it's originalism. So it kind of takes us back historically and back to the core values that we associate with being Americans and having a democracy. Pass.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Very exciting stuff.
Greg Stack.
Go ahead.
I just put in the chat the link to that. It's online. You can read it. It's really the first document that helped sort of start anew the modern era, the whole issue of trying to revisit corporate constitutional rights. This was a big deal 100 years ago or so, and it sort of died down, and this document sort of represented the initial unearthing of the whole movement. Worth a read.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember seeing that in our inventory. So I don't know if that is something you can buy from the store, unless it's like,
I think they're all gone.
yeah.
Okay.
But I'm glad that there's a digital copy. So make sure you grab that. And if that could be put in the notes too, Greg, that might be nice for anyone else who catches up that way. All right, cool. Summer and fall actions. That's also you, Greg.
Okay. Well, not necessarily in chronological order, but here they are. On the 27th, the National Veterans for Peace organization at their annual conference, addressing a few issues, pretty selectively, not addressing the whole usual panorama of concerns, but one of the few issues they want to address is the intersection between corporate rule and war and invasions and occupations. And so Mike Ferner, a friend of Move to Amend, also connected to this group, formerly the Program on Corporations, Law, and Democracy, of which Richard Grossman, who wrote that pamphlet that I just put in the chat, was the co-founder of. He and I will be doing this workshop. There's an opportunity to register there. Please consider doing that if interested. And the exciting part about that is Mike and the vets really want to have an ongoing relationship with us. And in particular, and this may be a template for how we may approach certain strategic organizations going forward. That being that, they'll pass a resolution that supports, they've already supported us, but they want to have some sort, at least starting with developing a subcommittee that will work at trying to develop a joint piece. This would be an educational piece that from their perspective, and we'd need a representative or two from Move to Amend, from our perspective, sort of lays out the intersection, the interconnections between their organization, their concerns, and our organization and our concerns. So this may be something, and imagine if we had sort of a little library of different issues, different organizations, well, mostly issues, can be any organization, but something healthcare, something related to the environment or several aspects of the environment that connect different aspects, issues with the effort to end corporate rule and get big money out of politics, that then could be used in ways that speak to their constituents, our constituents, but both constituents in making the intersection and in making the link. So we'll see how it goes as an exercise and as a finished product that may serve as a template going forward with other organizations that could at least, to start with, develop these and figure out how to use this as a stepping stone, then to do joint work, joint programming, joint educational, joint advocacy, joint organizing. So time will tell. So there's that. and not sequential, but stepping back, which was mentioned by Irene, September 17th, this major action coming up in DC, a whole week taking place in New York City. I'm sorry, in New York City, a whole week actions, a climate week of actions in New York City. And on the 17th, a major march, a major action that will bring groups of all around the country, maybe outside the US as well. A march to end fossil fuels. Move to Amend will be present. We'll have a grouping. There will be Jenny Spanos and others, Alfonso, Katie, and I think certainly people who are Move to Amend supporters in New York are interested in helping out and having a physical presence at that march. We're getting props from a Backbone campaign. Maybe you're familiar with that huge, gigantic, oversized "We the People" preamble to the Constitution that Backbone used when the Monahan brothers marched across the country and ended up at the Lincoln Memorial in, I can't remember what year it was. And this was sort of the visual, one of the main visuals that Backbone used to display the sort of span down the front steps of the Lincoln Memorial that made AP. I mean, just that photo and that event, nationwide coverage, but that photo is forever. It has been used and comes up every so often in articles about campaign finance reform and the like. So anyway, that will be not that size, sort of a boiled down, shortened version of it, but still very visual. So the event page of EcoNet is there. The draft of the event, I should say, of the EcoNet event page is also there. And I think there's more information about that event. So if interested in participating, if you are anywhere near New York City or you know of people nearby, let them know of this event. Saturday, that's Sunday, September 17th, which is also Constitution Day. All right. So again, what's next are the sorts of things that we have mentioned before, but with a couple twists. Petitioning, as mentioned, there are in general, between now and next month, in general, parades, festivals, fairs, events, picnics, and parties, but also between now and the next time we meet are those associated with Labor Day. So please consider figuring out, and we will be sending out by week's end, I think it's scheduled over the weekend to have an email blast that will be sort of lifting up the importance of joining in solidarity with working people and with organized working people's organizations, labor unions. And labor groups will be around the country, be holding all kinds of different events. They vary by community, but figure out ways to support them, but also to support them certainly physically by attending, but also to support them intellectually and organizationally by bringing up where you can these connections between issues of how working people are being stiffed and how laws that get passed or in constitutional amendments that get passed, literally anything that gets passed that benefits workers have been over time manipulated to, again, benefit corporations. So this is an opportunity to ask people to sign the petition, to engage, to use as the event and the days and the cause as an excuse to engage in some conversations with individuals, maybe with a labor leader that you haven't gotten to know very well. Good excuse to try to do that as a springboard, hopefully, for ongoing event down the road. And they're linked to a petitioning kit. Opportunities for resolutions, always opportunities, endorsements, and this being an off-year election for candidates running for not federal office this year for the most part, but in general state offices and local offices. So they present opportunities to try to collect and garner Pledge to Amend support. Pledge to Amend being the campaign that tries to get all candidates running for all offices, but sort of focused on the quote unquote lower level or higher, depending on how you want to look at it, local public officials, county and state, inviting them to take the pledge, which means if they win, pledge to do what they can based on the office that now occupy to promote the We the People Amendment, which could be to introduce it in the legislature do what they can to maybe hold a public hearing, a variety of things. Use your imagination, creativity to get them to raise the issue. So those are opportunities coming up, both near and a little bit far away, but please consider to take advantage of at least one of them. And as previously mentioned, August is also an opportunity to take advantage of your representative being in district and where they may be. If you can sniff that out, show up and do a little bit of bird dogging and encourage, if they already haven't, to become a We the People HJR 54 supporter, co-sponsor. Pass.
All right. Thanks, Greg, for holding down 2 sections in quick succession. Margaret, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so in the topic of collaborating with other organizations, I just wanted to mention that the California, I'm not sure if the local Humboldt County arm or the whole state, but anyway, we got a request that, so they had endorsed move to amend, and they're planning to take it to the state board of physicians for national health care, Medicare for all, to endorse move to amend. So then they sent us a request to endorse a letter they are writing about an expansion of insurance industry into Medicare. And so we are endorsing their letter. So that's just another form of endorsement. And I imagine that Physicians for National Healthcare has quite a few state chapters. So that's another good alliance. Pass.
Margaret, did you say that Moms Demand Action have endorsed move to amend?
No, I was saying physicians, California chapter of Physicians for National Health Care or National
Okay.
Health Plan, PNH, what is it, Greg? PNH?
PNHP, I think. Or something.
Yeah.
PNHP.
PNHP, so it'd be Physicians for a National Healthcare Plan,
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
which is Medicare for all.
And I thought it was the state group that we spoke to.
Yeah, it was. It's just on the state level so far.
Yeah,
But
which passed, so now they're going to federal.
yeah,
Or
they're
national.
smart cookies. They have ambitions, and I think they'll help push it up.
But they would be a good group, again, to sort of
Yeah.
approach, to develop a common piece that from their perspective and our perspective, a joint purpose that would sort of, I think, make the connection of how difficult it is to pass what they want without passing what we want.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Juicy stuff.
Mark Stack.
Go ahead, Mark.
Regarding the intersection of corporations and you name the movement, or corporate rule, in effect, or corporate control, corporate money. Boy, that just seems like a wide open avenue. I mean, it's every, that's pretty ubiquitous. So, I think you're on something there, Greg. Not that you haven't been for a long time, but I just wanted to support that.
Well, the great thing about it is that it's not just something we do. So it's a meeting of the minds, and the process itself is building relationship, building trust, and producing a document. So it's not just a final document that move to amend, present to some other group, but there's the letterhead of both groups. So they have credibility when they're sharing information with theirs. We have credibility when we're sharing information with our supporters. And so hopefully it'll be read, internalized, and trust is developed, and you know where that can go, hopefully in good places.
Great. Thanks, everyone. We're going to turn it over to Katie and Jenny for updates on finances and fundraising.
Sydney, do you want to go
Okay,
first about the? Go. We are
Okay,
being hosted in Tallahassee, so our internet is in and out. I don't know if Jenny's having a problem with hers, but I've lost it about 3 times. So I'll pick up where if she leaves off, and she'll do the same for me. Go ahead, Jenny.
Just, I guess I can roll off on opening up reports. The board's leading the way on outreach to lapse sustaining donors. You know, it happens. Folks update their credit card or change their credit card for whatever reason, so their donation lapse. So they're reaching out to them, having pretty good success so far. Also want to raise up the need for sustaining donors for the C4. It's really important. You know, the C4 has more flexibility in all that we do, more flexibility than the C3. We can do C3 work with C4 funds, but we can't do C4 funds with C3 work. And the amendment, of course, is the vehicle we use to connect issues and to stand in solidarity and to get the amendment passed, right? At the state, local, and federal levels. Also, wanted to raise up that we got some physical cards donated from a printer and publisher, and we will be sending those out in outreach. It's something that's been raised up by members of the board, including Mike Tucker and others. So that's going to be happening. And also that we are raising our visibility with MTA. It's time. The pandemic, although, you know, there is still spikes in COVID, by and large, we have gotten over that big hump, and it's time to be visible and to be current. I'm not sure if y'all caught it, but our amendment work is in the first 10 minutes of the Barbie movie. So whether you know, if you're starting to think, oh, are we getting any traction? How do we get this into the mainstream psyche? You know, why is this so important? It's in the Barbie movie. I think we're getting there. You are doing great work. You know, I mean, this is big. So I just wanted to say, we are going to continue to raise our visibility. We're going to, you know, we're going to be joining more events. We're going to be standing in allyship with other threads of the movement. Just like we talked about Moms Demand Action. The person that's hosting us here is a big Moms Demand Action. 2 organizations that they work with is Move to Amend and Moms Demand Action. I put it in the chat. I met somebody from Mom Demand Action in Pensacola recently, and they are they're running against Matt Gaetz, but you know, and her platform is just say gay. It's Florida. I'll pass it over to you now, Katie. If there's anything I forgot, just let me know.
Yeah. Thank you, Jenny, for helping me out with that. So as was mentioned before, we have a lot of amazing actions planned for September. We're going to be launching a fundraising campaign centered around those actions. It's so important, as Jenny said, for us to be out there, be seen. Irene, I cannot wait to meet you. I'm so excited. And if you need any help with the events, do what I can. I have a few friends in New York that we can help, you know, pull stuff together. The last climate march that we went to, over 400,000 people showed up to. So, you know, it's really important for us to be out there. It's a great networking opportunity, as well as we're going to create much needed media content for all of our TikTok. You know, we're going to live stream. We're going to take lots of pictures. And to do this, I'm asking, as the new fundraising director, when those emails start coming in asking to support these actions, please donate whatever you can. All of it helps. So, and when you get the emails, if you could share them with your friends, that would be really wonderful. I mean, this is not the time to let up. We have a lot of momentum behind the amendment in Congress right now. And as you know, the Supreme Court is on the news all the time for their corruption. So it's on everybody's minds, and we need to just keep pushing. We got a lot of ground to cover between New York and DC, and we just ask for your support like you always do, and we really appreciate it. So is there any questions about anything? I hope I came through clearly. Like I said, we're being hosted, and this has been the best spot so far for internet. You guys can hear me correctly.
Yeah, looks like there's a lot of Barbie going on in the chat, a lot of Barbie talk, and very interesting question, Margaret, because Greta Gerwig is Sacramento's own. So I don't know. I wonder if I know anybody or you know anybody somehow that might have that connection. Or we can ask Daniel because Daniel knows everybody. Just that's a joke. But yeah, that's a really good idea, Margaret.
Jenny's tag.
Is that Jenny?
I would reach out to the UU Church in Sacramento. I think she grew up in that congregation.
Okay, it's good info. And that's also
I
something.
hosted a bar. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Sorry, Shelley.
Yeah, we don't see our Sacramento affiliate folks here very often, but I believe one of them is a UU congregation member. So that might be a good inroad. But yeah, no, the Barbie thing's super exciting. So yeah, everybody, if you weren't gonna see Barbie, you definitely aren't. Very important that you watch the Barbie movie.
We hosted a Sweet 16 Barbie movie over the weekend, and it was so exciting. And we were all wearing pink. And Jenny and I have decided we were probably going to stand outside the movie theater with our Barbie Land corporation is not a person and money is not free speech sign, because it was such a hot topic, and the movie theaters were packed. So
awesome. And yeah, suggestions in the chat if you do go, wouldn't hurt to bring some lit petitions. Really go for it. All right. So we will now move into upcoming events. Alfonso.
Yes, so we have a few national events that you definitely don't want to miss out. Starting off with the next EcoNet monthly meeting, which is going to be taking place on September 14 at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And there's the link in the agenda where you can RSVP. There's also going to be a really good, interesting book discussion. The book is Gobbling Down the Rubble, How the Free Trade is Stealing Our Democracy. You can buy your books, your copy of the books already on our online store. And the first session is going to be taking place on September 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's all going to be Tuesdays, I believe, and you can start getting your books ready and sign up for that as well. And then we are going to be having, as it was already mentioned, we're going to be attending the End Fossil Fuels March, which is going to be taking place on September 17 in New York City. And we're going to be having a planning call for this, in preparation for this march, taking place this Thursday, which is going to be August 17 at 5 p.m. And I will share the link where you can RSVP for that. At the state levels, we have, oh, where did it go? There was an event here for Florida, but I guess that is not happening. But if you or your affiliate groups have any upcoming events this month, please go to our calendar where you can upload those so that we can spread the word and get more people to join your events. And I believe that's all we have. But again, keep checking that events website on our page where you can always find what's coming up at the national and state levels.
All right. Thanks, Alfonso. Yeah, if you have any questions, I do see that Mark in the chat asked about the book club, and Jenny did put some info and a link, but you know, we talked about it a little bit last week, and yeah, I don't know, Greg, do you want to talk a little bit more about that for anyone who wasn't here last week, of like our history with the author and kind of the relevance to our work? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Gabbling Down the Rabble is really about the history, but also the current manifestations of how the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution has been corrupted and abused by corporate entities, but also used in some sort of weird way rather than people of color and labor, working people, sort of figuring out how to, in the Constitution, work for rights based on the fact that they, as persons of color and working people, should have rights, instead have used the Commerce Clause. So it's been sort of a weird connection in people arguing that they should have rights by sort of being identified and hitching their sales, if you will, to the notion of commerce and property. And so this book, by the late Jane Ann Morrison, if you've not been to her website, please visit it, democracythemepark.org. Is there not a better website name? It's fabulous. And you'll find a bunch of stuff on it, including, I think, a summary of this. But anyway, we're going to go through the book, a couple of chapters at a time, and it really gets into some interesting history and how it's connected to the problems we're facing today, and the very need to look at the 14th Amendment and the Commerce Clause in particular as vestiges of ways that corporate entities have managed to acquire and abuse their power, and what we can do to try to end that. Because as many, including Jane Ann, sort of coined the term that the Commerce Clause to the U.S. Constitution is either the granddaddy v. NAFTA, and that could be exchanged or substituted for the WTA and all those other misnamed international, so-called international trade agreements that are less about trade, be it free or fair, and more about corporate rule. That's really what the Commerce Clause is all about. The rule of property and the power of property to define and overturn democratically enacted laws at the state level, which the Commerce Clause has done through corporate entities by the scores, in fact, by the hundreds. So you don't want to miss that.
Thank you so much, Greg. And I do, if you didn't see the chat, Margaret also added that this is not a dry book. Jane Ann Morris is a very witty writer. It's a fun read, educational. So join us in some fun, heady reading. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the call. I know a few folks joined late. If there was any local stuff that you wanted to let us know about, give a couple seconds for a hand raise. But otherwise, we can go ahead and, oh, I see Deanville. Go ahead.
Well, I guess speaking of, getting to the point of getting in action with other groups and allyship, if anybody here knows somebody who lives in the state of Georgia and is a registered voter, they can come around to Atlanta and try and get more signatures for the Stop Cop City referendum. They've reached apparently 80,000, so before the 14th of August deadline, but now they can get more signatures soon enough. But yeah, if anybody here is a registered Georgia voter or knows a registered Georgia voter, tell them to come to Atlanta and help get more signatures for the petition to put the vote to stop Cop City on the referendum.
Deanville, do you know the cutoff date since the extension?
I believe they moved it to September. I'd have to check.
They're Mark, I know the answer. I was typing in the chat right now. They're turning them in on the 21st. So that's, I think,
21st of August or
21st
September?
of August. So the original goal was 70,000. They've got that. They now have, like Deanville said, 80,000. They're looking to get 100,000 within the next couple days, and then they're going to turn in whatever they have by the original deadline prior to them restarting the deadline. So this is it's like a good faith deadline that they're able to say to a judge or fact finder, whoever, look, we would have gotten this even if we hadn't gotten the extension restart. So
so the deadline is actually beyond August 21st, but you're turning them in on the original deadline. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so they're gonna be, for all intents and purposes, the deadline is this, again, what is it? It's this Monday, the 21st.
Okay. And I encourage all of you all, although I haven't been able to go out and petition, I wish I could, but it's vitally important to get probably at least 30, 40, 50% more signatures than are required, because I can assure you the people who review those signatures are going to throw out as many of them as they can possibly come up with a lame reason to do so. I know that from working on other drives for example, when I worked with the Green Party to put Jill Stein on the ballot. You know, we got the number, but they threw out probably close to 50% of our signatures for some, you know, a period wrong here or something wrong there. You know, I mean, it's just really ridiculous, but that's what we're up against.
All right, thanks everyone. This just kind of reminded everybody, and this was my bad. I did not check with folks, but I guess I thought Cole had been introduced to the coalition at the last coalition call, but I'm hearing that might not be the case. I think you can probably deduce that he is in Atlanta, but he is our new fellow. And I know maybe you weren't prepared to introduce yourself, Cole, but please go ahead if you'd like.
No, no worries. I was gonna introduce myself. I'm Cole. I'm a national fellow with Move to Amend. I just started about I think a month or so ago. But Mark, it's nice to finally put a face to the name, and we've been doing a lot of great stuff in Atlanta. Deanville and I have been out petitioning Cobb City. Now we have obviously the Trump indictments coming down. I've been told are important on the forefront of what's going on. I think that in general Georgia is like I said, on the forefront of a lot of these issues, a lot of corporate power, police power, obviously, holding elected officials, cult of personality, crazy ex-presidents accountable. Atlanta, there's a lot going on in Atlanta, and I'm excited to work within Move to Amend's resources, work with Deanville, hopefully Mark, if we get a chance, and just see what we can do down here. We're going after a couple legislators, and we're helping out with other movements, and I'm very excited. So if anybody ever needs anything, please reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat here just in case anybody needs it. But I'm here to help, and it's nice to meet all of you, and I look forward to working with all of you.
All right, we're so excited to have Cole. It's been a great month so far, and we're looking forward to working with him more. He's also going to be, him and our board member George Friday, who is on this call, I believe, are going to be going to a really cool event together on September 2nd in Atlanta. And also on the Cobb City thing, if you don't know anybody in Atlanta who's a registered voter who can go out and gather signatures, you can still click that link and donate to that effort and support the folks on the ground there. And also, if you missed it or didn't know we did this, we did a really awesome program with Kamal Franklin, who's been on the ground doing a lot of work on that front. And he's incredible. We had an incredible conversation. And it's recorded, it's on our YouTube, and I think on our website. So if you didn't see that, please check it out. It's really good, and it will fill you in on all you need to know about what's going on down there. I see you, Mark. Go ahead.
Me, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shelley. I just wanted to not to beat a dead horse, but to ride one on the topic of Cop City just a little bit. One of the things that I think is most important to recognize is that the curriculum of Cop City, the goal of Cop City, is being manifested in the manner in which they are putting in the fix to drive Cop City through passage and being supported by the city council. I forget, I can't keep his name clear in my head. Manuel, they call him, yeah, go ahead, Shelley.
Tortuguita.
Yeah, that's his nickname, Tortuguita. But they claim that the GBI says, now it was the Georgia State Police who killed him. He was shot 57 times. He was sitting in his tent. They claim that he shot a Georgia state police officer. And they say the bullet came from his gun. So far, they have proven none of that. They have given no evidence that the bullet came from anybody but the Georgia State Police, who may have killed or shot the other police officer in friendly fire. We don't know. They haven't proven and given any kind of conclusive report. And secondly, then there is the Atlanta, what's the name of the, help me out here, the Atlanta Defense Fund,
Police Foundation,
which is the lawyers that have been helping to bail out and to represent the people who have been protesting. They wholesale went and did a SWAT raid on them and locked them up and claimed they were basically misuse of funds and so forth. Now, the judge in the hearing said this is such a stretch. I don't know, he claimed that this is pushing the limit here. This claim that the Georgia State Attorney General is putting forth, and the DeKalb County District Attorney, which owned the DeKalb County is where the property is located. She's washed her hands of that entire prosecution. She said this stinks. And so anyway, that's the kind of that. Now there's the what we're seeing happening in just getting this thing to be passed and built represents to me the corporate interest, because corporations have pumped $30 million into this project. So, this is an intersection of corporations having enormous control and influence over our local police. And they're going to be training police from all over the country. So anyway, I get pumped up over this because it's just crazy. It's malarkey. It's nonsense. And I'm familiar with the way in which the U.S. has influenced Latin America in the same manner, to where corporations in Latin America have trained the security forces of Latin America to basically suppress democracy in those countries. And so I'm very concerned that this is where the chickens are coming home to roost here in the United States with Cop City.
The Imperial Corps turning in on itself. It was predicted, and it is what we're seeing for sure. But the good news is this movement is winning, and everybody is, in every every turn that things didn't go the way that they'd hoped, they just had another move in their pocket. It's just a really beautiful, decentralized, but very nimble, organized movement down there. And we can learn so much from it. And that's also why I want y'all to watch that program that we did, because there's a lot of good insight in there. And this 80,000 signatures that they've gathered so far is more than all the votes that were in the mayoral election of Atlanta. That's how against it the people are. And so, anyway, I get on fire too, Mark. I feel that. Thanks everyone for letting us go off on that for a while. And yeah, lots of different ways to support what's going on there from wherever you are. Okay, we love you all very much. Thanks for staying with us. And next coalition call will be September 19th, which also happens to be National Talk Like a Pirate Day. So Jenny, I don't know, that could be a icebreaker.
Can't wait.
But yeah, all right. I hope you all have a great night. Good to see you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Much love.